Hi there, Terry Hashimoto here with BodiTrak. We're going to review the 7 traces that we're seeing on a very common basis. We're just going to show you the COP traces on the left-hand side and attached to their velocity chart. The first trace we're going to review is the scatter trace, and I'm going to play it through once so that you can see it in its entirety. And you'll see that the trace goes all over the place. The white dot, the COP dot, can move forward, backwards, up and down, all around. The swing balance in this area would be rated low, poor. Power rating, it can cover the gambit from a very hard shot to just nothing. And we don't recommend that you use this trace at all. This is a trace that we see with not consistent ball shots. So, anyways, the lateral motion, the white lines are all over the place. The yellow lines are which represent your heel to toe motion, are erratic. And again, this is not a trace that we recommend. On the right hand side, the abbreviated trace. And the abbreviated trace, and I'll play this through in its entirety once for you to take a look at. Basically, the COP dot moves to the trail foot and then directly fast forward to the lead foot. Don't worry about the ratios, just to give you a look-see at what it looks like on the actual chart. And that abbreviated trace is usually attached to a straight one line, straight up and down peak on the velocity chart. This abbreviated trace is very effective for swing balance is excellent. Power rating is not really applicable here. This trace is mostly used for short shots, lob shots, short wedges, and so forth. And it's an accurate trace. We are now going to go on to another couple of traces. We're going to go to the lateral trace, and I'll bring that in right now. Let's see, we'll go right over here. Funny the thing about the lateral trace, it's the hardest one to. I don't see too much of it. And you can see on the right hand side, this is a lateral trace. And basically the lateral trace, when I play it straight through, it's going to go straight back and straight through. Swing balance on this is excellent. The power rating is in the upper middle, and it seems that this is the recommended use for this particular trace is in the mid irons to long hybrids and fairway woods. It's a great trace and one that we like to take a look at. On the left hand side, we're going to introduce to you the fishhook trace. And this fishhook trace will be, this one is of a left-handed golfer where the weight goes to the trail foot first, and then the midfoot up towards the toe, kind of hooks around, all around, and back down to the midfoot section of the lead foot. The fishhook trace is sort of the combination of all the traces, lateral and heel toe exactly. This is a good to excellent trace. Power rating is fairly high, and it can be used in all the clubs really. It seems to be used in all the clubs. I'm going to introduce to you the power trace, and this is where it gets to be into a lot of fun. Power trace on the left hand side is a really interesting trace that I'd like to explain as well as I can. But on the left-hand side, I'll play one full time. The weight, and this is before we had auto center, but this is a really good example of a power trace, so I thought I'd show it. The weight goes to the trail foot, straight to the front, lead foot, pulls back, and then goes forward prior to impact. And we define power trace as the weight must be moving forward prior to impact. Now, I just want to explain something to you. We met not too long ago in Philadelphia at Marion with a group of head professionals, and it was hosted by Mark Sheftick. And we had Ted Sheftick there, and then we had John Dunnigan and James Hong, as well as others. And then we sent all the information to all of our advisors for them to take a look at. And we came up with some terminologies to try to standardize the format so that COP education could grow quicker. Is it 100% accurate? We hope so. Everything you're seeing here is going to be based on observation. Again, looking to the power trace, weight goes to the trail foot, moves forward, pulls back, and slightly before impact. And we determine impact by sound. Don't even need to look at the video right now. We look at impact of sound before impact occurs. That COP dot's moving forward, as you can see right here, prior to impact, and that's the definition of the power trace for us. On the right hand side, I'm going to introduce to you to the power trace Z. It's a little bit of an anomaly, really. Let's see where we're going to go here. Let's see, Brian Smock. This guy, and I said I wouldn't mention names, but this guy's a true player, so there you go. Brian loads this up really crazy, powerful. I don't know if you can use this move to teach someone, but you're going to see it now and then, and I'll just play it once or twice, and I'll focus in on it. There we go. I wanted to get these 7 traces up for you to take a look at. We're getting a lot of questions. I'm going to post it on the book. But anyways, what happens here is that the weight is loaded up on the lead foot, and from there it moves to the trail foot. But what's cool about this is that before Brian makes contact, it does go forward. So we're going to reverse it back. Now watch that white dot. It's going to go backwards. He still hasn't made contact, and now it's going forward. White dot's going forward, and that's we use this as the basis for contact impact, which is sound. And that white line's above the baseline. When the white line is below the baseline, it's moving towards the trail foot. And then there is another trace that we're seeing quite consistent, and I want to show it to you because you'll see this among a lot of great players. And Nick Starchuk, I'm sorry, I'm going to use Nick. Nick's a really good player, got a great swing, and he recognized when he did this. It goes right to his heel and then to his toe. I call this the heel toe lateral. We changed the name, as you can see on it says heel toe linear on the screen here. But part of the meeting in Philadelphia was to determine the terminologies consistently, and it was determined and decided that lateral is a proper term for this. So it's going to go to the heel, and straight to the toe. Now the only way that the fellow can hit this straight is, and it's because he's so talented, is to compensate with his hands, square it off. I'm not an instructor. We're just discussing what we're noticing, and then anyways, so Nick then in a few swings after getting his weight more balanced properly, and we call this stabilized approach, getting more weight to the top of a swing on an even basis, 65-45, and still continuing to move towards his trail foot. Look at that, about 50, 60, 40. And this line, as you can see, is much more lateral now, as opposed to heel toe. So a couple of the terminologies that we're using that seems to be makes life easier. And we're going to go to, let's just see, we'll just Canadian Tour iron here. Here we go. So this white dot, center of pressure, obviously. We measure the vertical forces, which are the forces up and down created by gravity here. Forces in a vertical direction, so we call that vertical forces. We call the front foot the lead foot. Doesn't matter whether they're a left-handed golfer or right-handed golfer. The front foot's the lead foot. The back foot's a trail foot, and we've broken the foot into basically 3 sections: toe, heel, and midsection. Now I want to just discuss transition, because you're going to note this in his iron. When he takes the club back, that white dot is going forward to his lead foot prior to the completion of his backswing. Just for terminology, to make it simple, we call this white dot, and thanks to Jim McLean and other leading pros for this, we call this white dot, when it moves forward, we call this transition. So we define transition as the second significant motion. So this first significant motion would be going back to the trail foot, second one would be going to the lead foot. We don't care where this transition occurs. We just want to be able to understand what the weight distribution is during that transition point, what the ranges of weight distributions are during that transition point. Now, we're going to define a couple other points here for you. So peak velocity is the fastest motion in any direction. This is peak velocity here. You'll see this. The peak velocity, maybe I won't show it to you there. I'll just erase that and I'll circle it. So my coordination is not so good this morning, it seems. So that's your peak velocity, and in this case, we happen to, I looked this way before, we'll have a screen that tells you where it is, but that's where the peak velocity is. It's 617 centimeters per second. From that time to impact, we call that the release factor. So in other words, from the minute, from when all that energy is being released to the shaft, from there to zero, we call that the release factor, and in this case, it's minus 31, it's 31 milliseconds. The minus because it's before impact, and 31 milliseconds is pretty fast. The brake effect is when you use your lead foot as a brake, and you're going to see that, and you don't do this too often in a lateral trace, but in this lateral trace, watch what happens prior to impact. You're going to see this brake effect occur right here on the left hand side. Keep in mind the impact is 0, and he's going to be going forward, and right at this particular point, he's already braked. He broke right in and around. Let's see right here. Oh, let's see. Grab this grabber bar. Right there, he broke. Ball. The center pressure goes backwards and then forwards. We call that brake effect when you use your lead foot as a brake. And you know, in the X Factor, Jim McLean noticed this many, many years ago, and we're just being able to validate this with the BodiTrak. So now the power trace is defined as a brake effect. When the brake effect occurs, the white line must be going towards above the baseline towards impact, so it's going forward to the forward foot prior to impact. That's the power trace. Terry Hashimoto with BodiTrak, 7 traces of golf, and this is just the beginning of it, and I wanted to get it out there fast. Thanks very much, guys.